and go on.
From Dragon Ball Z, and you're listening to the Monsters with Attitude podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, embrace the attitude! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Raw Attitude presented by Monsters with Attitude. I am your host, Eric. Alongside me, of course, Joe Myers, married to Kaiju. I don't even know how to continue anymore because we've been chopping it up with our guest tonight backstage before, and so much has been talked about. It's, like I said, pure gold, and I am super excited to talk to him. Joe, thank you for joining me. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Blessed by the best. The big man upstairs shows me every day that he loves me, and I appreciate that. And I was actually just noticing on our introduction that it says Doc Mack, Model Kit Arcade, and we are so wrong about that because there should be 30 other things past that we just learned that this guy does. He's incredible. Like, I'm very rarely left speechless or stammering, I feel. But this gentleman did it in the 30 minutes we've been chatting behind the scenes. I'm like, he's got to come back for a part 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, literally. Like, we just found out he is an entrepreneur, and he is taking over the world as we speak with what he's doing with Galloping Ghost and everything. So,
I'm sorry. I have a Man Cow for President shirt. I should have this say Doc Mack for President now. He's the next in line. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. But yeah, we'll stop drooling over him and we'll get him on here. Everybody, please welcome Doc Mack to the show. Doc, thank you for joining us, buddy. And like we said, like, holy crap, dude! Like, what you've been telling us has just been absolute gold. Thank you for being here with us and sharing everything that you've already been sharing so far and more to come, honestly.
Thank you for having me. Very much appreciate it.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, I just, like you said, Joe, I am speechless, man, because like the stuff we've been talking about is just, it's phenomenal. It really is. And like Doc said, like it's, around his area, there isn't a lot of Godzilla fans, and around my area too, like there's nobody that's Godzilla fans, same with you, Joe, you live in a smaller town and everything, but like stuff like this brings people together and you get to chop it up with like-minded people and people that love what you love. And it's just absolutely amazing. And I feel blessed to actually do this with people like you, Joe, people like you, Mac, and everything. It's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, there's so much more. I feel like we need to get into it now because there's, like I said, so much more information that I would love to squeeze in as much as possible. So,
okay, yeah. Well, let's get right to it. So we kind of do this a lot with our first guest and everything, kind of a basic kind of question, but since this is the first time talking to you, meeting you, we want to know, how did you become a Godzilla fan or Kaiju fan, and what's kind of your earliest memories?
So I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and my dad came and got me, and he's like, "Oh, we're watching this movie," and it was Godzilla versus Monster Zero. Ooh, and the first movie I saw. And was just instantly hooked. It was had to get the Shogun Godzilla and the Shogun Rodan, or the Rodan, and it was just an obsession from a super young age. When Godzilla 85 came out, that was such a big thing going to the movie theater and seeing that. And it's so funny. My dad had got me the giant, it's like 7 foot tall cardboard stand up of the artwork, like the display. And just brought that over to the offices, found it in the basement a few weeks ago and brought it over. And it was one of the earliest things that I ever collected.
Oh my God. That is, Eric knows one of my, I mean, I collect anything and everything Godzilla related. But one of the things that I really enjoy collecting is theater and advertising merchandise. And I have, like when the 2014 Godzilla movie came out, like the letters that were in the theater, I have those, and I have the letters from King of Monsters in 2019. I have a Rebirth of Mothra theater stand, so a bunch of stuff, and that's super cool. Like, piqued my antenna went up when you said that. I love that kind of stuff. I love it all, but like the advertisement and theater stuff is just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there was not a lot to collect for the longest time for me. I didn't know there was stuff out there. And like I had kept everything, and I always liked Godzilla. It honestly wasn't until I think around 93, 94, I found out that they were still making movies and everything, and that started to get me back into it. And then once the 98 merchandising blitz hit, that like amped everything up and just changed everything. Like, and there was a period where I completely got out of it, of collecting Godzilla stuff, and now back in it, stronger than ever.
I feel like a lot of people's fandom kind of comes in waves sometimes, depending on what's going on in your personal life or professional life, what have you. So you mentioned Monster Zero. Is that your favorite Godzilla film, or do you have another one that's a favorite?
Growing up, I watched Terror Mechagodzilla a million times. Just something about that Titanosaurus was.
Yes, my boy.
I don't know. It's so hard to pick a favorite. Like, there's so many of them that I like them all. Hard to pick just one.
No, it's okay. It's okay if you just pick one and it's Terror Mechagodzilla. I am not mad at that in any way, because that is by far my favorite, and Titanosaurus is my favorite. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Terror Mechagodzilla seems to be like a popular one. I mean, it's great. It's the final one of Ashura Honda. That's powerful. Titanosaurus is an awesome kaiju, so can't go wrong with that.
No.
Yeah, very true. So I just had a side question here. So what was your first Godzilla figure or like toy that you actually ever had?
So I had it was this green bendy Godzilla.
Wasn't it a bootleg or something like that?
That I don't know. I still have it somewhere, but I remember I had a lot of the Godzilla gang that had like Ultraman figures.
Mm-hmm.
But the Shogun Godzilla was like the main one I remember. So
Gotcha. Yeah, and that was way before my time, and I still have it. I got like the Super 7, like littler ones that they've been re-releasing and stuff like that, which is great and everything, but like trying to get like one of those Shoguns nowadays is kind of crazy, like they've definitely gone up in price.
Yeah,
it's been so amazing, and it's so weird being like with the arcade that does have a lot of exposure to it, and people on there. I occasionally talk about Godzilla stuff on the stream, but it's such separate different worlds. It's like there's the Godzilla side and then the arcade side. So I don't get to talk too much about Godzilla on there. But people have found out how into Godzilla I am. And there's a huge Godzilla fan. He went by the name Worminator. And he brought like all these SH figures and just was like, here, you should have all these. And it was like 8 or 10 of them. And there's been so many super amazingly generous Godzilla fans that have just brought stuff out. Somebody actually just dropped off another Shogun Godzilla to me not a couple of weeks ago. So it's very cool. It's very cool. There's so many just generous people that want to share this stuff. So
yeah,
and we pass along too. I've been known if I see a Godzilla fan, it's like, hey, I've got stuff. I'm very specific with what I collect, so I don't collect a lot of the figures. And if I get a figure, I usually pass it on to another collector. So.
Hey, that's awesome. Like, that's paying it forward, honestly, Godzilla style. Honestly, you know, someone gives it to you, you give it to someone else. You know, that's awesome. Like, that's I think that's one of the most positive things I think that we have going for us as a Godzilla fandom is that, for the most part, I would say, you know, 90% of the time, like, people are very warm to other people or giving or, you know, want to share their experiences or their stuff, or, you know, or if somebody just doesn't have the money or whatever, like, somebody will give, you know, somebody something. Like, I've seen that a lot, like at G Fest and everything. And, you know, I mean, I've done it too, you know, where I'll go and see kids and stuff like that. And like, hey, you know, do you guys want this kind of stuff, you know, because I want to see the fandom still going and growing, especially with the younger kids and everything. Because I mean, they are our future to keep this thing going. You know, honestly, we can only do it for so long. And, you know, obviously we ain't going to live forever. So it's like making sure the next generation like has that and experiences and everything. I think it's really awesome.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
When I first started going to G Fest, it was in 2000, and for several years there was this guy that would always come and he would make little goodie bags, and there was little drawings that he did, stickers, maybe like a bookmark, and then like and at the time the Trendmaster stuff was relatively easily accessible, and there would be like a little Trendmasters figure or something in there, and he would hand them out to the kids or whatever that were waiting in line, or, you know, and he did that. I saw him do that for years, and I don't know whatever happened to the guy. I can't say that I've seen it. I've seen him do it, but that is the type of community that this fandom is, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is. But so we do, you know, want to talk about your arcade. Way before, I mean, we like Joe stated, like, we thought it was just arcade and and kits, but it's so much more than that.
So much more.
But we were very curious on, you know, how did the idea of wanting to make an arcade, and how did that, you know, kind of take us through the steps on how that kind of, you know, came to real life?
Well, so the arcade was honestly almost it was just kind of yeah, let's do this. The first company that I opened was Galloping Ghost Productions, which opened in 1994. And we wanted to make video games. So I was 17, 18 at the time when I opened the company, and didn't have any like formal skills. Like, didn't even own a computer, didn't know how to play any music or anything. So just kind of started learning everything. And we didn't, like, I couldn't draw, I couldn't do anything. So it was like, how do we make a video game when we can't do the artwork? And it's like, oh, well, we can go the Mortal Kombat route. Like, I've studied martial arts my whole life. So it was like, okay, well, we'll do the MK route. We can do the moves on a green screen or a blue screen, and we'll use that as our artwork. So then got into, we filmed it. worked with it for years and years, and we ended up having to refilm it because we'd worked on it for close to 10 years. And went back into the filming studio in 2005 to reshoot everything, do it all in HD. And after coming out in 2009 from the filming studio, it was like, the arcade scene is in a rough spot. Like, the only time you hear about an arcade is when it's closing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started putting together a business model of like, if the game does well, we'll open up this arcade and we'll show that we can turn things around, and we'll put fixing machines, and we'll make sure that the machines are working, and kind of do all these things. We'll get a bunch of industry people in, and just everything kind of lined up. In 2010, we ended up opening. I had ended up finding 114 machines out in Denison, Iowa. And our production guys just took some Penske box trucks out there, and we loaded them up and drove them back, and only 8 of them turned on. But August 13th, Friday the 13th, we opened up the arcade, and it really snowballed from there. So it just nobody really thought it was going to last. We opened up with 130 machines. Fortunately, due to the kaijukits.com website that I had started beforehand, and getting into model kits and everything, it really set up a method of how I could bring stuff from Japan. So I was able to find rare games and import them, and that really helped the arcade grow. So,
wow,
that's incredible. You said you started with 130. How many games do you have now?
Monday we put up our 986th game.
So holy cow!
The largest arcade in the world. It's the entire block. It's 5 buildings long. We're going to be adding our 1000th game on August 12th. Every week for the past 10 years, we add a game to the arcade floor for our Monday mystery game. So new game every week, and August we'll hit 1,000.
Doc, that's incredible. That is incredible. Total side note, Eric, we 1,000% have to go now when you come.
Oh, absolutely. Like it's a done deal.
Which I will say, I have actually already been lucky enough to go, but it was several years ago, and I haven't seen. I thought it was just, again, my ignorance, I guess. I thought it was just one enhancement, or add-on. You've done 3 or 4, you said, right?
Yeah, since we opened, we were just in one building, and it has just progressively expanded and expanded and expanded. And like right now we've talked with the town. We're going to be adding a 2nd and 3rd floor to it. And which we'll be able to move our Galloping Ghost pinball building down. We'll have a video game museum and a console and land center as well. So it's been amazing watching it all grow, and there's so much more that we can do with it. So
that's amazing, honestly. That's amazing.
Well, so the question is, so you said there's more. What is there anything that you can tease that you want to do more?
Well, so like we've got right now about 230 more games in the vaults. So we're constantly, over the years, we've become really good friends with so many of the industry people. Oh. And it's been such a cornerstone of the arcade to really put the spotlight on these guys that have made all these great games that we all play. And even games like, you look at games like Rampage, which was such a huge thing in 1986 where you're playing as essentially Godzilla and King Kong.
Yes.
It's the artist from that, Brian Colin. We become great friends. Jeff Nauman was the programmer on that. Got to work with him with our production company. And Godzilla and Kaiju was such an impactful thing to him. It's like you can see where that inspiration came from for that game. So even that, just giving a place to showcase and tell the stories of all those guys, it's an important thing to kind of keep the history that those guys have kind of brought to making all these games and give it a place and a home and be able to share those stories with everybody.
Wow. Do you? I have to ask. This is probably a silly question, but I don't care. What are your favorite arcade games that you have? I know you have 1,000 of them, and I'm asking you. It's literally not a fair question, but how about this? What are some of your favorites?
Like Narc was the first arcade game that I ever purchased, and we did a developers day, so we had Eugene Jarvis and George Petro and Mark Lafredo and everybody that had worked on the game. We had them all out, and it's funny because I never know how many people are going to come out to these events that we do. Yeah. And really I just want to talk to the developers and hear all the stories. And it's a selfish thing. If anybody else cares to hear about it, come join us. But I want to hear it. Mm-hmm. And the night before we did this huge event, one of the George Petro called me and he's like, "Oh, do you have an extra board for Narc?" And I'm like, yeah. He's like, any chance you can drop it off real quick? Yeah, sure. Drove it out to him. And the next day the event hits and I'm hearing all these stories. Like I'm meeting the people that were the characters from the game. And it's just so mind blowing to me. Just hearing how like so many of the behind the scenes stories on this first arcade game that I ever bought. George Petro comes in and he's like, "Here's your board back." And he's telling me the story. He's like, 2 weeks before Narc launched in 1988, we put it on test and there's a bonus level where you're flying this helicopter and just dropping missiles and you have unlimited ammo. You're just racking up points and stuff. He's like, it was bugged. So like the game was so close to launch, we just pulled the level out. Oh. He's like, "I finished coding it last night and fixed the bug. Here's your board back. You're the only one that has this."
Oh my God.
It was out for probably 2 or 3 days in 1988 before it launched. So probably like 5 people had ever seen it or played it. You have the only copy that exists. Have fun with it. And to get something like that is just so mind-blowing. And that's what people are playing down there. I get to share that stuff with people. I get to tell the story, and it's such an amazing full circle thing to be able to. It's something nobody ever knew existed, and here it is back in now 2024. People get to play the original vision of what the game was supposed to be.
That's incredible. That is awesome. That's so unique. And I love the fact that it's so close to me. It's like an hour away. That's amazing. So everybody be jealous.
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. Well, so we're talking about the arcade games and obviously, we're Godzilla fans, we're Ultraman fans, Kaiju fans. What Kaiju Godzilla Ultraman games do you have in the arcade by chance?
So we have the Namco, the video game Godzilla, which came out in '94, right when Mechagodzilla was coming out. In '93, they were putting it out. It's a one-on-one fighting game. We've also got, so that one is like the only officially licensed Godzilla arcade game until recently. Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics put out a new Godzilla VR game, which looks amazing. I wish we had room to put it on the arcade floor, but I'm so anxious to go play that one. But we've also got a game from Taito that came out in 1986 called the Kaiju no Gakushiyu, which was Taito was trying to get the Godzilla license but couldn't. And it's literally you're controlling Godzilla. It comes out of the ocean and looks exactly like Godzilla. They've are playing the Godzilla theme and everything, and unlicensed, but outrageously rare game. I've only seen the board. I might have seen one other copy of the board, but something you definitely won't play anywhere else. It maybe one other collector has one, if that. So,
wow. Real quick from one of our listeners watching live, Ronald Kreider says he loves Berserktron, 1941, Sinistar, Zaxxon, Star Wars, Dragon's Lair, and Dig Dug.
We have every single one of
those. That's so, Ronald, you need to make a trip to Galloping Ghost because they've got it. And this is a little bit of a side note before I ask my next question, but I feel like now is the best time as any. So when it comes to Galloping Ghost the arcade, it's just a flat fee and you play all day, correct?
Yep, $25 to get into the arcade, and you're good from open to close. We've got our pinball building, which is 2 blocks down, which if you're already going to the arcade, it's only $5 more, and you're good there too. And we've got both Godzilla pinball machines.
So for $30 a person, you can go from open to close, play every game. And so I told you in the backstage that my wife surprised me and took me there a couple years ago, and it's awesome, guys. It really is. Like all these games that you would normally probably be sinking $20 worth of quarters at least just to maybe make it to the final level. Like if you die, which I did all the time because I suck, you just literally hit a little red button and then it starts you back over, like right there from where you died at. Like you're not. It's great. It's awesome. Total little plug there for you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
No, I just want to add to that. Like, I love that because me and Joe were talking before our stream and everything, and we were talking about, your arcade, and he was kind of telling me a little bit of details and everything, and he told me about that and stuff, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's a good deal because you could go to any other arcade back in the day and spend hundreds probably, and you could maybe get halfway through the game, and then that's it, because let's be honest, the games back then were super hard. Like you couldn't get through anything.
That's been the crazy thing with talking with so many of the programmers, like the psychology that they would put into making you want to put more money in and think you're getting better. And it was so done on such a psychological level. It was unbelievable design, where they would let you get a little bit further and get really close, and you'd still want to put that money in. And it's very cool to see so many people be able to play games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Terminator, which those would usually cost people $20 to complete them. And now it's just like you play through and you see the ending and get that closure from the 90s that you never got.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because that's the thing. Like you could spend all that money and you'll never beat the game, and you'll never know what it was like to beat the final boss or get the ending credits, and stuff like that, because they were so hard, or you just didn't have enough money to play it all the way through. So what you're doing and what you're giving the community and just the public in general is honestly really, really awesome, and I cannot wait to go there. Honestly,
definitely looking forward to having you out. We've had so many people like get so much better at gaming. We've had over 700 world records set at the arcade now. We bought a scoring house called Arcade, which tracks world records and everything. It's also a location tracker where it'll show you like what arcades are in your area and everything. So it's got such a great community there too, because players, even if they have the world record, they'll show you how to get really good at the game.
Oh, that's great.
And a very awesome community there too.
Ronald has a follow-up question. He'd like to know where it's at and do they serve beer?
We're located in Brookfield, Illinois, right on Ogden Avenue, about 15-20 minutes out of Chicago. We don't have alcohol here. We don't allow alcohol. There's a great bar called Imperial Oak right down the street. So like you can go there, have a drink, come right back, show your receipt, no reentry fee, and you're good. You're good until we close. So
oh god.
In proximity to G Fest, how close are you guys?
I think it's like 25 minutes, half an hour.
Oh,
not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, because I know that there's a lot of people which will bring their wives or significant others to G Fest, and they're kind of looking for something else to do, besides just the Godzilla stuff. And I feel like that'd be a great thing. I know when my wife and I went, we walked across the street to that family diner, had some lunch, then came back, and yeah,
a lot of great places to eat in Brookfield. So.
Mm-hmm. And actually, my wife's grandparents live in Brookfield, so oh man, that means I have to visit them. I don't know. I kid. Hey, speaking of G Fest, have you go to G Fest? How long have you been going? What are some memories of it?
So we have been bringing games to G Fest for the longest time, like probably like 2014, maybe we were bringing games there, or maybe that long. So when our production company was really relaunching, like we were going back into our filming studio, and I was doing our kaijukits.com stuff and updating and doing the database and the library to that. I gave up all of my kits. I sold every kit that I had. I had about 140 kits, 140 kits that I imported. A huge collection at that time. And this was probably right around 2001, 2002. I got out and I was like, I'm done. I'm too obsessive compulsive to be working how much I'm working and running this website. I'm like, I got to step away from it. Mm-hmm. So I walked away. And when the arcade opened, somebody from G-Fest reached out to us and like, hey, could you bring some games? I was like, G-Fest, love the idea of it. Yes, we'll bring games to it. I can't go because I'm done. I don't want to get back into collecting. And it's actually funny you've got the Man Cow shirt on. I'm thinking about this, and it was 2018 or so that we were still bringing games to G Fest. Man Cow couldn't make it, and he was like, "Hey man, can you go to G Fest and see if there's anything for me to buy?" And I'm like, "No man, I can't go to G Fest." And it's in July. It's right around my birthday. So everybody's like, you should go. You should go. Everybody's like, you should. It'll be awesome. You're not going to get back collecting. That's not going to, don't worry about that. So I'm like, this is really bad. I'm like, I had a serious addiction. And Man Cow's like, can you please just go? I know there's going to be something cool that I want. I'm like, okay, I'll go. I go out there and I'm walking around. I have no problem. I don't need to buy vinyls. I don't buy statues. I don't buy posters. Literally, the last booth that I see is Kaiju Modeler.
Kaiju Modeler.
And I'm like, okay. And my girlfriend at the time, I'm like, oh, look, there's somebody I know. I know that guy from House of Monsters. I'm like, that guy, he's a sculptor. And I pulled up kaijukits.com and I was showing her on my phone. I'm like, so this guy sculpted this kit. And the guy behind the counter is like, oh, you're looking at Ghost Lord's kaijukit.com? Yeah, that guy, he disappeared. That guy got everybody into collecting model kits. And I owe that guy so much. He got me into collecting model kits, and he had this whole tutorial about how to buy kits from Japan. And I'm like, that's my site. You're Ghost Lord? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh my God. He came around the counter. He's shaking my hand. And like 10 minutes later, I have a crowd of people around me. And they're like, oh, we love your site. What happened to you? What happened? And I'm explaining it all. And I'm like, yeah, I don't buy anything anymore. And he's like, oh, I want to give you this model kit.
Wow.
And it was a 67 Kong.
Okay.
From Murakawa. And I was like, I don't want it. I'm like, if I can't just get one, I do not want this. I appreciate it. This is a very expensive gift that you're offering me. It's like, you've really helped me so much, and the community owes you so much. And I'm like, nobody owes me anything. Like, thank you. I need to pass. And I'm walking around, and he had a lot of cool kits. Mm-hmm. And I see Barry from the House of Monsters, and he's like, oh, you picking anything up? And I'm like sweating at this point. I'm like, man, I don't want to buy anything. I'm trying to get out of here. And I make another lap around, and at this point, I already know I'm having a hard time at that point. Mm-hmm. I call Mancow. Mancow's like, oh, get something. So I go back over, and I'm talking to Matt, and I'm like, let me see that Monster Maker 54 Godzilla. If I'm gonna get a kit, I want it to be a 54.
Yeah.
And it literally wrecked me, man. It was the worst. It was like alcoholic relapse going on. It was the worst thing that you'd ever seen. Because when I fell off that wagon, it was bad. I walked out with like $2,500 in kits. Jeez. And the free kit that the guy gave me, that Matt was so generous in gifting me. Mm-hmm. And it was so bad. I was like, let me just look and see what's going on. I'm already back in. I know it. And now this is like 3 or 4 years have passed now. And now I've opened Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. I've got about 350 kits. It's horrible. Like I literally have, and I joke about it. It's the same thing as the arcade. It's like I have a terrible addiction problem that I'm able to turn into a business, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's a really good thing." And it's like, yeah, I have a terrible addiction problem. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's awesome. It's fun."
It sounds like Mancow's responsible for your addiction. He's like your dealer, like come on, man, just try a hit.
I have to thank Matt. We have our Galloping Ghost pinball I have to attribute to Mancow as well, because I was out of the pinball scene too. And him having me, he's like, oh, do you have Viper Night Driving, which is the pinball machine that he worked on?
Yep.
I was like, no, I don't have that one. He's like, well, get that one. We'll have a huge party at your place. And I was like, Mancow's going to have a party. Yeah, let's do that. And then 6 months later, I'm opening up Galloping Ghost Pinball. So the guy is it's awesome. He gets me starting to do things. So
well, the biggest enabler.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Well, tell him thank you for getting him back in. You already know I was a huge fan of him growing up, so I'm glad that he got you back in. I'm glad that he made you fall off the wagon. But you did mention all those people that thanked you for the information. Yeah, okay. Thinking alike, Eric. One of our friends, a good friend of the show, Leslie Chambers, says, "There's my dude right there, Doc Mack. I owe a good chunk of my love and enthusiasm of model kits to this dude, and his products are a positive bucket of sunshine. Why can't I quit you?" All right, why can't I quit you?
Thank you, Leslie. That's so awesome. It's so great to get to share everything. There's the Kaiju Kit Builders Facebook group, and those guys are so amazing and motivating. And some of those guys that Robert and Leslie and Marcus, everybody that's doing all these amazing, Kenny, there's so many amazing painters out there, and it has motivated me to try to get better. And I think everybody just kind of inspires one another. And when I came back in and announced that Kaiju Kits was starting back up, and there was about, I want to say there was a good 1,000 kits that hadn't been added to the website. So it was a massive undertaking. And every show, it's so many hours of work. Like I put about 20 hours like just directly working on kaijukits.com every time a show goes on in Japan, because I got to track down every sculptor and find all the stuff. It's a lot to it. And it was such an amazing thing to see that even without those updates going on, people were still using the site. And again, it's so motivating every time that people are saying that they're using the site. So it really keeps me going on that. So.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about the Kaiju Kit Builders, because actually I'm going to bring up one of Leslie's comments here where just like him and like me and the rest of us, when we see your posts, we're like, oh shit, there was another show in Japan and Doc got fucking everything, and here is his haul right here. And it's, 6 feet tall and 6 feet wide, we're like, holy crap.
It's hard. Like they're so limited. Like with the Bandais and stuff, that's out there. Like they're mass produced, but these kits, they're doing 5 or 10 kits. Like if they do 50 of a kit, it's like, wow, what an unbelievable run. But the molds just don't hold up for it. And there's companies like Resin Chef that they're saying they're only going to do 10 kits. So if I'm asleep at like 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. when the shows are going off, like you got to be up. It's a very arduous, labor intensive, this collecting gig.
Yes, it is.
Dedication.
Yes.
Yes. You miss them. It's crazy that a kit will come out at $400 or $500, and now they're going for like $3,000 on Yahoo Japan and stuff. So if you don't want to be paying those prices, it's a difficult thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's perfect because it segues into our next question. Like, so we're talking about all these model kits and everything, and you're a model kit builder. Like, how did you get on collecting like model kits initially? Like, what got like that itch for like, okay, I'm going to collect this stuff, and this is what I really love and passionate about?
Well, so when I got into collecting model kits, I went into the House of Monsters. I was going there every week.
Wow.
And Barry and Damien had so many amazing things. And I was buying Bandais at the time. It was like I was just getting in, starting up collecting. and I bought the Medicom. I had a lot of health issues.
Okay.
And coming out of one of our filming studios, I had a bad time. I had terrible headaches and had a hard time eating, and my hands were always shaking. So there's a Medicom Baby Godzilla, and I took the box off the shelf, and Damien's like, "Oh, that's a model kit. You're gonna have to build and paint that." And he started telling me about all the kits, and that was really the first one. Is like, oh, maybe if I get this, if I'm having to paint, it'll steady my hand, and I can use it as like a therapy to kind of get my hands under control.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take long. I was back next week and asking Barry and Damien, what else do you have? What else do you got? And they're selling me Volks and Kyoto, and it was a terrible down. I basically bought everything they had. And yeah, it just kind of went from there, and then started importing them. So it was it was a big thing. They were so hard to get back then. At that point, there was no other places to get kits from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Leslie had a quick question. What is your overall favorite model studio that releases kits?
I'd have to say Sakai is who I have the absolute. I love the Sakai kits. He's
Gotcha.
Such an amazing sculptor. Monster Maker 28 is done just so much. I can't not get their kits when they come out.
Right.
There's so many. Black Dragon is done. They're becoming a little more stylized with Black Dragon. I like very suit accurate stuff. So it's interesting. There's so many talented sculptors, and it's easily to understand why they want to have their own artistic interpretation.
Yeah,
in a little bit different direction, but like so many of the other collectors out there, kit collectors, there's for me, I have a very specific. I want suit accurate stuff, and big. So it's for me, probably Sakai is definitely top, and then Asai after that. The Kaiju Freaks line is just amazing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely hit the two. Yeah, you hit the you. I know, right? There's so many, but yeah, you definitely hit the two for me is Monster Maker 28 and Kaiju Freaks. I mean, those two are, oh man, those are crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Resident Chef too. They've got so many.
Resident Chef.
Bill Gudmundson, who did so many sculpts over there. He was the one that kind of got me really bad collecting. Just seeing that Titanosaurus that he did. And
oh my God, yes.
So good.
Yes, I own that one too. Yep, I love that one.
Amazing.
Doc, you've talked a little bit about your website and stuff. I don't know, Eric, if you want to pull it up. We have it just show off a little bit. And while we're doing that, we have another, quick question from actually one of our other co-hosts, the Realist Goji fan, Jordan. He says, "What's up, Doc?" No pun intended there, I'm sure. Quick question: what's your favorite kaiju you like to work on?
Oh, that is a tough one. Yeah, and in all honesty, I struggle a lot with painting kits. I'm very indecisive in my color selection, and again, the kits being so rare, it's like. Am I really gonna do a paint job of my? I should be sending this out to somebody who can do it justice. But that's half the fun of it for me is I want to paint them. I think I did a Monster Maker 28 Titanosaurus that I loved how that turned out. Beautiful kit, absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's such a great kit.
Oh, I know. It's a grail for me. Someday, hopefully, I'll own it.
Another question from Godzilla Train, who's another co-host of ours, Adrian. He says, "What's the hardest kit you've worked on?"
I'd have to look over at the wall. There's been a few, like the Kyoto Space Godzilla had some very interesting shading, like for those shoulder crystals. Mm-hmm. That one I really liked how it turned out as well. But that one, any of the brighter colors, like Godzilla, you can hide a lot of stuff in with Godzilla, so he's pretty straightforward. But for me, probably the hardest kits. I did one of our Zilla from Final Wars.
Oh yeah.
And I have to. That's one I really want to revisit because my paint job on that just not the best. And one of the big problems is we're always racing against these shows. So we did. We finished like 6 kits all at once, and we got them all back from molds, and I had to have them all painted within, it was like 12 days. Wow. So I was just racing through painting them and not happy with any of the paint jobs on them, and really want to go back and rework a lot of the kits that I've done, especially for the kits that we produce. I've seen guys like Marcellus that has just done such phenomenal jobs on like our 30 centimeter and 40 centimeter Orgas. And I see people in Japan that are painting our kits, and it's like, wow, that should be on the box cover. Like, not just my paint job, but it's, I feel the paint jobs that are on the boxes honestly do them a disservice, because the sculpt, we've got to work with some phenomenal sculptors. Jake from Monster Rage and Zeta Joe, just phenomenal sculptors. And Burley Vang, who did our 72 Godzilla. Yeah. Just incredible work that they do. He was the only one who designed a kit that was hand sculpted. And I feel bad that we're always so rushed, because these guys, we really push them to get the sculpts just super accurate. And I know I must drive, like Jake and Zito, I drive them insane, especially on that the new Monster -1 kit. We had a lot of back and forth with Zito Joe, and it's really showing, though. People are saying they're really liking our sculpts. Very humbling to hear that people have said that it is, and I hate even saying it out loud, better than the Sakai one, because that one is so up here. There's so many tremendous sculptors out there, and to be compared to any of them, just to be put on the same level, it's a very humbling thing. So it's an honor to be considered to be doing kits of that caliber this quickly.
Yeah. So what inspired you to do a website like this? Like, I mean, obviously you were collecting kits and stuff like that. It's just because you wanted to catalog or categorize, all the kits that you were getting? There was no real information. There was a website, and every time I talk about this site, if you go to the main page, there's a tribute on the front page to Pow Pow, which was which is a site in Japan. Mm-hmm. And when I started this site, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was grabbing a lot of images and information. This guy's site was like the pinnacle of information. He went to every show, he cataloged, he took so many pictures. Mm-hmm. And I learned so much from him. And with his information on his site, you could see, like, you could find the sculptors.
And I used that to gain so much information. And it was devastating for me when he messaged me and was like, hey, Doc Mack, you're a terrible person for stealing my images. And I was like, oh my God, I am doing that. Like, I'm just trying to share stuff. And I meant no disrespect to this guy at all. And he ran his site all the time while I was gone. He kept going. I started getting all my own information and started talking with the actual sculptors and everything. And as soon as he pointed that out, I went back and tried to replace a lot of the images that I did take. And I have a public apology on there because that was never my intent to mean him any disrespect or dishonor him. And he always, I say it right in the tribute to him. His site has since gone offline, but I always give him, I credit him as the king of, he is the king of Godzilla modeling websites. And as many people love kaijukits.com, it would not have been without him. So I always try to show him a lot of respect, and I always apologize for taking those images. But now the site has grown. He had basically, we had initially had the library, which was similar to what he was doing. Okay. But then we turned it into the database section, which he then kind of took that idea from us. And now we just want to try to be the best space to get this information. There's so few big places to get all this information out there. So, and there's a lot to it. Like, there's some companies, like, if you go to the database page, like right now we've been adding, seeing some of these links you're getting into, that I still, this website is still all done in Microsoft front page 98. So old school. It's literally all HTML, just thousands and thousands of pages. Like, I hadn't seen this page in decades. Literally, when I'm going into it, I'm just going to the database and the library, which are the but you're probably gonna have to update ActiveX to get some of this stuff to work properly. But
that's so funny. That's awesome.
A lot of it's a lot of manual labor to get this site to update, which is pretty funny. But you can see there's if you make it back to the kit library, the new thing that we've been doing is those numbers next to the company names. If you click on that, that's the new gallery. So instead of the list of it just shows thumbnail pictures. And then you can click on the image, and that'll take you to the library link.
Oh, very nice.
So it's a spider web of information. I don't know if everybody even knows how to use this site properly, because there's so many little things, like the link at the top where Ad Lab Gallery up there, that's a link to the actual website, the sculptor's link. So if you want to follow the sculptor, if that's an actual link, that'll go somewhere and take you. A lot of them stop working. A lot of the sculptor companies don't work for too long. But
okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So Doc, we didn't even get to half the question that we wrote before we knew of your other bajillion businesses and interests and stuff. So I would love to save the other half for a later date, and maybe just wind down with a few questions from the audience, if you're okay with that. Okay. Get them in. Leslie's a popular one. You could tell that he's a huge fan. He wants to know what kit are you most proud of from your Final Wars line?
That is such a difficult question. So many of those kits didn't get any attention from any of the other sculptors, and if they did, they were very stylized. Like G Tempest did a Zilla. I think our Zilla is phenomenal. Again, that was another one we might have been into the hundreds of iterations going back and forth with the sculptor on that one. They were not happy about the nuances and attention to detail. And Zilla is on screen for maybe 4 seconds. So there's not a lot of things to work with. And every shot of him is very muddy. And but Zilla was a big one. Monster X was phenomenal. Our Kaiser Ghidorah. I'm not even sure if we've sold a Kaiser Ghidorah. And that kit is so phenomenal. It is I look at like the Galro kit that is out there.
Yeah.
And nothing out there is as accurate as this kit. Like I look at those favorite sculptor lines and it's like, that's not how the kit's that's not how Kaiser Ghidorah was. It's like there's so many little details that we worked with, every little thing being so accurate. And we put so much effort into it. And it is a very expensive kit. And nobody, I take that back. One person has purchased it. Or maybe two. There's 1 or 2 people that have bought every kit that we've put out, which is, I have to give a huge thanks to John, who purchased literally everything that we've been putting out, which is just, thank you for that in showing the getting what we're doing. So very much appreciate that. But I'm so proud of so many of our Final Wars, all of our kits. Like so much work goes into them. So
let's see, 2 more. Is that okay? 2 more? Or no, I'm sorry, just 1 more. Leslie says, one last question. Will you be bringing any of your kits for sale at G-Fest?
That is a tough question. I've been trying to work with Toho International to get our license set up here. We've been able to do kind of like a pre-sale through TFO.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. It is very difficult to sell stuff here stateside and be above board with Toho. And I can't even really say. We've got a few kits that we're pushing through with TFO 14 that we're selling over there and just keeping them here. So hopefully we'll have a couple, but nothing concrete yet. Like we have such small windows of time before the TFO shows. Usually we only really showcase them on the Facebook group, the Kit Builders Facebook group, or on our Kaiju Kids Instagram or Facebook page. So it's still pretty limited. It's easier to get them in Japan than it is to get them here, which is funny to me, but it's so difficult to get anybody from Toho on the phone. So we're working on it though. So
yeah. Will you be coming to G-Fest just as a fan or at all?
We will be there. We're going to be in the gaming area, and so far it's looking like we are going to be having a table. We're going to have some surprises. Mancow will be there. Woo! So we're going all out this year. So
sweet.
We're really hoping to make G-Fest a big deal. So
sweet.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely come by and say hi.
Absolutely.
And, reintroduce ourselves since we've had a chance to talk. Doc, it's been over an hour. I don't want to take any more of your time. I'm sure, even though honestly, I think we could go for 3 more hours easy.
Yeah.
I know you're a busy man. First and foremost, such a fan, such an honor. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Thank you so much for being so gracious with your time. And
you.
Yeah, it's honestly it's been a blast. I'm so impressed, and I can't wait. And I hope that we get to sit down and do this again sometime in the future. Eric, anything else?
Yeah, man, just man, it's just been a pleasure geeking out with you and just learning all this stuff. And oh man, I there's so much more that I want to discuss and everything. And yeah, I just hope that we can have you on here again, and we're just gonna keep geeking out about this stuff because yeah, like Joe said, like I'm getting big into kits and everything like that. Now, mind you, I don't build or paint them because I'm not that talented. So I always have somebody else do them and everything. But like I spend the money on buying the kit, getting them made for me and shipped to me and everything. So like I know what it takes to get these kind of things and everything. It's pretty crazy. But man, when you get them, they are super special because there's levels of collecting. And honestly, I think like kits and like statues are like up there as top tier. And just, I mean, the stuff that you show every time you have a haul blows my freaking mind because I know what some of this stuff costs and it's like, holy shit. Like just, I can't believe it honestly. But I'm so like happy for you that you got that stuff because like you said, it's so hard to get them over here. It's just not accessible, like it is over there and stuff like that. So it is amazing that you're able to get so much and you're collecting so much. And like you said, you have over 300 kits alone. And God, I thought I had a lot just sitting here with like 6, that are still waiting to be built and everything. But man, I can't even fathom how crazy that is. But
he has 175 businesses that he owns. I think he can afford this. Okay.
Which we haven't even tackled yet, honestly.
I know. Real quick before we get out of here, Doc, is there anything you would like to plug? Any other information about the arcade pinball or events you're going to be at or anything?
I just want to say thank you both for having me on. Thank you, everybody in the stream chat. Leslie, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody that's been supporting Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo. Thank you to all the phenomenal sculptors that make those amazing kits. And I have to give a shout out to Ken Coy, who we mentioned our sculptors, but Ken is the guy that does all of our molds, and he's so meticulous. And Brandon, who's our lead artist here at Galloping Ghost Productions, who does a lot of the helping with the printing and everything. So it's really the team effort. And I just want to say again, everybody, thank you to everybody that's been keeping an eye on Galloping Ghost Kaiju Kobo and the arcade and all the other Galloping Ghost stuff. And if you're coming out to the arcade, let me know you're there. If you're a Godzilla fan, I'll bring you down to the Kaiju Kobo building. And
hell yes.
Let's go. The Redemption games down here at Productions. So like if you're a Godzilla fan, you have special access. So
yes.
Well, I will be texting you then when we go there that week before G-Fest. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Again, I don't get enough time to talk to enough Godzilla people, so I'm always up for it.
Well, you just made 2 friends that'll talk to you whenever you want, my friend. Well,
awesome.
All right, Eric, take us home, man.
Oh man, thank you everybody for joining in the chat live and everybody who will watch this afterwards. Please follow all of us at Monsters with Attitude and all of our socials. I'm not going to list them all because it's too crazy. I will actually throw up the banner though and everything, which we always forget to do, but we're doing it now. But it's just been amazing. Thank you for all the stories and all the info, Doc, and I mean more to come, honestly. And yeah, we will definitely be in touch to get you on for another episode of this, maybe 2, 3, whatever it takes to cover everything, man. It's been awesome, and I can't wait to visit your arcade and your Kaiju Kobo facilities. I mean, that's going to be really awesome. But yeah, just thank you for everything you do for the community with the website. I mean, honestly, that website, like you said, like you were talking about people coming up to you and just thanking you for that website. And honestly, I'm one of them because I go to that website all the time and look up different kits. Or if I see a kit that I have no idea what it is, I'll go searching for it. And, me and like many others, Leslie and stuff like that, Marcellus Winters. I mean, we visit that stuff all the time, and it is a big resource that we are very grateful to have. So thank you for making that, man. We really do appreciate that, honestly.
Happy to do it. Thank you all so much.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, we'll get out of here. Thank you everybody again, and be on the lookout for other Monsters with Attitude content and Raw Attitude episodes. So Joe, you got anything last words?
Well, that's it, buddy. Take care, everybody.
All right, everybody. See you later.
Thanks.